Husky fans, welcome into our season in review of NIU Football 2022. I'm Andy Garcia. We'll have Thomas Hammock here right in front of us in just a minute. As we get to the end of the season here, and Huskies have had a chance to kind of regroup a little bit. It's been a couple of days since the last game. Thomas Hammock and his staff have kind of looked over things. Again, early in getting ready for 2023, getting ready for recruiting as we bring in Thomas Hammock. And Thomas, appreciate the time before you get out to recruiting. I know that is hot and heavy, especially now at the end of the season, getting ready for that signing day on December 21st. But first things first, and just your overall thoughts. And it didn't go the way we thought, right? It was a lot of anticipation of what this season could be. Have you taken a closer look yet, Thomas? And are there meetings? Are there people involved? What has been the scenario so far since the end of the season?
Well, obviously, I think the first things first, I'm disappointed, but I'm not discouraged from the standpoint of I think there's an avenue for us to get a lot better. And so, the biggest thing is to, have some time to decompress. I went back and I looked at the whole season, some of the things that we made mistakes, some of our lack of execution. And I think it's things that we can do a better job as coaches preparing for an off season. And when you look at the type of season we had with the injuries that we had, I think, one thing we have to build our systems in a way to guys can execute on limited amount of snaps. And I think that's something I've talked to my staff about, and that's something that we are certainly going to work to improve this offseason.
Thomas, it's a fine line, right? You want to work the guys hard, right? In the non part of the season and the schedule of just getting ready and getting reps and being tough and being ready. But then there's a fine line. Does it involve injuries? Could that be a part of injuries? Who knows, Thomas? But it is something you have to think about, right?
No, I think, for us, we're going to build our whole offseason program with a structure in mind of developing football players. I think sometimes, in the offseason, you get so geared toward lifting and running and doing all those type of things that build mental toughness. But, we want to spend some more time on the football side in developing the football player. Conditioning and strength haven't been an issue for us, but we have to play better in situational football, and so we're gonna spend more time in those areas, trying to make our players as good as they can be in an off season. So when the season does come, is a lot more muscle memory to the things that they're doing.
A statement was released earlier this week from Sean Frazier and you, Thomas, talking about the hard way and the championship legacy here with NIU football. What's the plan? What do you do from that statement? What are you and your staff working to improve? Because NIU's known championships, winning football. I know this is not the season you wanted. How do you get back to that, Thomas?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to look at everything that we've done and try to assess what were the problems? What caused us issues, and address those issues, and not say it was based on just injuries. It has to be more to that. Everything we're doing from an off-season perspective, coming off a championship, I don't feel complacency was a factor, but at the same time, if we don't get the type of results that we want from a game, how do we overcome that? How do we put that to bed and get ready for the next week and understand that we have to still be committed to the process week in and week out, and that's what we have to build on.
Let's talk about the offense. And yes, there were injuries even before the season started, right, Thomas, with Trayvon Rudolph. But injuries are going to happen, and there were a lot on the offensive side. But still had the number 2 rushing offense in the MAC. Your offensive line gave up the least amount of sacks in the MAC and were high nationally. So there were positives on the offensive side, but there are also things that could be improved on the offense.
No, there's a lot of things to be improved. We have to be able to better build our system in a way that is not a run game and a pass game. It goes together with the same personnel group and the same formations. And I think that's something that we are going to study hard this offseason. Yeah, we can run the ball, but you know what? We need to have a play action pass out of every run set that we run. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And then teams start to stack the box or play. They play us differently than they play everybody else. So not only are you trying to scout the opponent? You trying to anticipate, what are they going to do differently versus us? And for, teams to go a bare front out of certain personnel groups and us not hurt them, those are the things we have to correct. And we have to have more balance. We have to be in lockstep, run game, pass game, and everything should build off one another and not just say, okay, this is our run game, this is our pass game. And those are the things that we need to develop our schemes in a way where, if there are personnel issues or if we are down a guy or two, it doesn't affect the overall operation of us playing good offensive football.
Some of the positives: first team All MAC for offensive lineman Nolan Potter. The offensive line was a strength this year, Thomas, and Nolan Potter was right there in the middle of it, getting first team All MAC.
No, I mean, we talk all the time about building our team inside out. I've been very pleased with the development of our offensive and defensive line. And Nolan Potter is a guy that he's been a staple for us, a leader. He's going to be out there every week. He dealt with some injuries, but you know what? He kept battling, for the team. And I feel like, with our ability to run the football and our ability to protect the passer, we have to build our offense to be a lot more explosive and dynamic.
Also, another offensive lineman, Logan Chernitz, third team All MAC. So you got two offensive linemen on the All MAC teams this year, Thomas.
No, I think, for us, it starts up front. And the starting five offensive linemen that started the last, 3 or 4 games are all back. Logan will be back from injury. So we feel like we have a nice foundation of offensive linemen, and we have to develop the guys behind them to be ready to play. So if you do have some injuries or something, your third guard is just as ready as your top 2 guards. Your third tackle is just as ready as your top 2, and not just learning on the run.
I'm sure, as me and you've talked a lot this year, Thomas, third down conversions. You got to get tired of hearing about it, but plain and simple, we talked about it again on our radio shows and post game. Huskies offense had to stay on the field. They just didn't do it enough this season.
No, and it not only was it third down, but it was third down execution. A guy doing the right thing in a critical moment. And that's what we have to develop our players better, that when those situations arise, number one, they can already anticipate the call, and then they can go out there and execute the call. And I think, we know how people play. There's only so much defense you can run. So some of the things that we need to make sure we specialize and feature needs to be week in and week out. And then obviously you tweak formations or you tweak personnel, but the staple of what we need to do in critical situations need to be, it needs to be a pattern throughout the season.
I think it was also on the offensive too, where we saw a lot of players, because of injuries, get a lot of playing time, and hopefully that will help moving forward, Thomas, where guys got experience. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, there's no better teacher than experience. The first time some of these guys made a mistake were in games, and I think you can learn from that, you can grow from that, you can get better, and it makes you more comfortable the next time you're in that situation. So from the experience standpoint, especially offensively, a lot of guys got a lot of reps, valuable time, but now you want to see the jump, how they make the jump in the offseason, how they make the jump in the winter months from the experience that they were able to gain during the season.
Let's move to the defensive side, Thomas, where it was a struggle for the defense early. They improved late in the season, again, going through injuries, but again, having players play. They got better, got some turnovers, but again, too many points and just too many yards when it meant the most, Thomas.
No, yeah, I thought we made some strides on defense, but when you don't play great offensively, then those guys are under more stress. I mean, they on the field longer. I think a year ago our time of possession was almost 33 minutes. Well, this year it was closer to 30 minutes. Well, 3 extra minutes is an opportunity for a lot of bad things to happen. But I think they kept us in games. They gave us a chance. Even though we were struggling offensively, our defense gave us a chance by turning the ball over and keeping games within reach. We just couldn't make enough plays offensively uh, to give them a breather, to make sure that, hey, you just got a turnover. Now we scored a touchdown, and that just changes the momentum of games.
On that defensive line, just themselves, three All-MAC selections. Devontae O'Malley's second team. You had Michael Kennedy and James Esther were third team All-MAC. So you're talking three guys just from the D-line, Thomas, that get recognized. You guys put more pressure on quarterbacks. You stopped a little bit of the run. And again, when you get the quarterback, you get the running back, you got to take them down. There were some missed tackles that, not just the defensive line, but overall defensively, when there's opportunities to make plays, you got to make them.
No, I think, when your defensive line can play the way our guys played up front, that gives you a chance. And then guys behind them need to make plays because those are the guys that they're eating up double teams. They're taking the brunt of, what an offense throws at them. And I thought we had a couple more guys that should have got some recognition. Ray Thomas played good football this season. Isaiah Green may play good football this season. There's only so many spots, but when the talent of your program is on the defensive line, you have a chance. And we got a lot of guys returning up front that have developed in our program that are doing the things right to make sure as everybody else continues to develop, we should make another jump on defense.
And able to get turnovers, Thomas. We talked at the very beginning of the year, there weren't enough turnovers. Only, 3 interceptions all year that the defense got last season. That changed this year. You guys were able to turn teams over on the defensive side.
No, we were able to turn teams over. We were able to get sacks. We were able to make plays that affect the game. I wish, if we would have had our offense from a year ago, it could have been very, very interesting, but we just couldn't quite get in sync offensively. And that's what we have to make sure we make improvement because our defense is getting better. They went through the hard times, the rough times, and they starting to work and build it to continue to get better.
I mentioned the defensive linemen, defensive ends, and tackles. Again, Devontae O'Malley, Michael Kennedy, James Esther, also C.J. Brown, the safety, who I'm impressed with. And I think he needs to become more of a leader. I think he can, Thomas, in the back. And overall, C.J. Brown had a good year, but secondary just gave up too many plays. If he was pass interference, penalties, or big plays, you just can't have that if you're going to have a winning season.
No, I mean, the back end needs to play better. And that's what, we're working on to increase their level of play, and that's going to be a big part of how we move forward, because people are going to try to play away from our defensive line, try to take the defensive line out of the game as best as possible, whether it be getting the ball to the perimeter, whether it be throwing the ball quick and getting the ball out so we can't get sacked. So we have to shore up the back end of our defense with coaching. We have to shore it up with players and making sure they understand exactly what needs to be done so we can play good team defense.
And we can't forget the special teams because we just saw, and again, we see it every year. We saw again in 2022 just how important that part of the game is. And again, we've talked about it in pre-games on the radio, Thomas. Like, we have to match another team's special teams. What they do, we have to match. I know you want to match in 2023, but exceed that as well.
No, we have to get difference making plays from our special teams. The last couple of years, Cole Tucker has done a great job, catching punts, but we have to find somebody that could be dynamic as a returner because a punt return changes a game. A kickoff return changes a game. And I think those are the two areas that, we focused on increasing the talent at that position where those could be game-changing type plays. We had Trayvon a year ago, and I could see his kickoff return versus Bowling Green change the game.
Yeah.
We need to have those type of plays in the return game, and we need to make sure we have a guy back there that can get that done.
We've mentioned some names so far, Thomas, but what are some other names that stood out for you? I just mentioned a couple. You see these guys every day. You've seen the film. Were there other names and players that stood out for you and had good seasons that didn't get recognized?
Yeah, for us, I mean, a guy like Pete Niagara up front, was a redshirt freshman, took, 95% of the snaps at the center position. And was he perfect? No, by any stretch of the imagination. But he was a solid building block for our offensive line for the future. And one thing I told him was, when we recruited him, he was the most important recruit in the class that we signed because he's going to touch the ball on every snap for our offense. So everything that you do matters. And we didn't have any bobble snaps or missed snaps by him, and really appreciate what he did. A guy like Tristan Tabus at the tight end position. I know people only see the catches, but everything else that he was able to do to help our run game and to help, our offense is invaluable. And he's coming back with more experience and having played the last 2 years. At the running back position, obviously, everybody knows Harry, everybody knows AB, but Flip, Jaden Credle to come in there and give us a chance to get some semblance of an offense later in the season. I thought that was big for us. And then obviously the quarterbacks. I mean, Nevin and Justin. I mean, those guys, they went out there and they battled and gave us the chance to operate and execute. And they wasn't playing with all the guys that, Rocky had the chance to play with early in the season. So now you're trying to get multiple people on the same page. But I really appreciate them, and they will develop. I'm anxious. I had a chance to meet with both those guys, met with Justin and met with Nevin, and they're anxious to get going on the next chapter and taking what they've learned from this season and getting better with it. And on the defensive side, Devontae O'Malley, a guy that walked in our program, he was 220 pounds. He's up to 280 now, developed nicely. He's been a force. A guy people don't talk about, Damon Taylor. He started the season for us last year, 10 games. Was a backup this season, but gave us production. Ray Thomas on the edge. Michael Kennedy having the ability to come in and be a speedball and get sacks. Then at the linebacker position, we had some change a little bit, but Jaden Dolphin stepped in for Davern. Young guy, Alvarado, was able to get some valuable experience. Devin Lafayette coming back, from injury a year ago and making contributions to the team. And then on the back end, obviously C.J. Brown did a nice job. Jordan White, Muhammad Jameh, those guys, there's so much experience to be gained. And then the cornerback position, Bird, the last game, probably played his best game of the season. And that's what he needs to get back to, the type of player he was as a true freshman.
You mentioned in your postgame after the last game of the year, Thomas, about leadership on this team and that players need to step up. How do you develop leaders moving forward to 2023?
No, we're going to spend a lot of time this offseason on leadership. And we're going to break the team down into 10 pods. And really, you're going to have squad members, and each pod is going to have a squad leader. And from that, the squad leader is in charge of making sure everybody's there, making sure everybody weighs in, making sure the camaraderie is there, and try to break the team down into segments. And if there are issues within a squad, then it goes to the captain and try to build a leadership model from within before it get to coaches. Obviously, coaches are going to be heavily involved with the players, but we need the players talking to each other and communicating and being able to hold each other accountable during the off season. We could talk about it, but we have to put it into action, because what happens is when you get in the season, the leadership of the players is what carries you through the high times, through the rough times, through the in between. Because we as coaches, we're going to direct them and we're going to guide them. But those are the guys in the locker room. Those are the guys that have the pulse of, how do we feel today? How are we going to attack the day? And so, we're going to put more on their plate from a responsibility standpoint, where they start to listen and talk to each other. So then it doesn't just become, when things are going good, I want to talk. And when things are not going good, well, I don't want to say anything. Well, those are the times where leadership matters.
Transfer portal. You've seen people come in. We're going to see people go out. It's just part of what college football is now. We've had some great success. Isaiah Green May Clint Rakovich, Rocky Lombardi, Casper Rukowitz. We've seen him on the both offensive and defensive side. You're going to win some, Thomas. You're going to lose some. Where's the transfer portal? How's that going to be used for you and your program moving forward for 2023?
Well, I think college football is obviously, transitioning to an NFL model, and I think people have to get used to that. That's part of the process. In the NFL, you change out 15 to 20 guys from your roster every year in terms of trying to build your team for the next year. And it's unfortunate the way college football has turned because I still believe in a relationship. I still believe in the development, but that's not what the powers to be. That's not what they want to emphasize anymore. So this is more of a, how do you get your team to be the best possible team for next season, and with the understanding that there are going to be guys on your team that you love, that you like, that's going to choose a different avenue, a different path. And so, when those conversations are had, I just let the player understand, like, I appreciate you. I love you, love everything you've done. And we shouldn't walk out of here and never speak again. We should have a relationship. If it means something to you and it means something to me, we should have a relationship and be able to talk. And, I've talked to some guys and, told them I helped them and made calls for guys. But the portal and the transfer thing swings both ways.
Yep.
And so, obviously there is an opportunity to increase your team going into next year. And so those are the things that we're looking to do. But we're always going to start with the high school model. I believe in building your team with high school student athletes and letting them develop and understanding that hopefully that relationship supersedes anything else. When tough decisions need to be made, you want to be committed to the program because we believe in you. And then obviously, the transfer portal will be used to, fill in a couple gaps or fill in a couple places where, you can strengthen the overall team. So then if you do have injuries like we had this season, it doesn't become a detriment to the team. You got some other pieces that can step up and get it done.
I know you're headed out on the road for much of the month of December. And again, that getting ready for 2023. And I know the signing day is December 21st. What should fans look forward to, Thomas? I know you can't bring up names, but what are we expecting to see in this next class?
Yeah, I got 16 home visits in 7 days. So, and it's not in one place. So, we got a lot of work to do. But this time of year for us in our program, I'm not trying to, be loud about who we bringing in because this is obviously poaching time for other programs. So, we're going to try to work under the radar for the next couple of weeks till we get to signing day and sign our players and then and feel like we improved our team. But, some areas that we need to look at. Obviously, we have to improve, the back end of our defense. We have to get better there. So that's something that will be addressed. Or it has been addressed. It's just a matter of just waiting to December 21st to make sure that information gets out there. We need a dynamic playmaker in the return game, whether it's a receiver or a DB. We feel like we got a guy that can do that. And a guy that's proven he can do it. And so it's just a matter of, like I said, getting those guys to signing day, getting them signed, and then obviously getting them in the program. But, in January, we'll have 8 to 10 mid-year guys come to the program, which is exciting. And I think it would enhance the competition and make sure everybody understand that the best guys are going to play. Because we're at the point that, we've recruited the majority of this roster, so they understand who we are and what we're about. But they're also going to understand, hey, you have to compete every day to have the chance to go out there and make plays.
Thomas, as we wrap things up, personally for you, you played here, you're an alum, you're a head coach, you've won here, MAC championship last year. I know you're going to learn from this season. What did you learn from 2022 moving forward for 2023, and how confident are you in the staff turning this thing around pretty quickly?
No, I think, one thing that I've learned personally is, it wasn't complacency that was the problem. But we have to eliminate entitlement in our program. And what I mean by that is, just because you're a senior don't mean you've earned the right to speak or you've earned the right to become a leader. You have to do that daily, and that needs to be a premium at the forefront. Right after the season, everybody wants to ask about a new jersey or a new jersey number. No, you know what? Let's go through spring and let's see how you go through attack the off season and how you attack everything, the weight room and spring ball. Then we can talk about a number before the season. But it's always like I played, I made plays, I'm good. No, you know what? We're going to work every single day to prove who we are and what we're about as a team. And I think that it starts there. And if we do those things and prove it every single day, we have the team that can come back and respond the right way. And I'm a you know I'm determined to make sure we can put 2022 behind us.
Thomas, I always appreciate the time and the availability, and you're always candid. It's great talking to you because we know we're going to get the truth. And again, it didn't go our way this year. Looking forward to 2023, and I know you and the staff are working hard to make that happen. Appreciate it, and then I'll be talking to you soon for signing day on December 21st, Thomas.
It's going to be a nice one. Go Huskies.
That's Thomas Hammock for football. Again, stay tuned. NIU Athletics YouTube page here for more videos, things coming out. Again, signing day coming up on December 21st. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Go Huskies.